Hello, welcome to the Morning Serve, brought to you by 9Now. Every court of the Australian Open streaming live and free on 9Now. I'm Nick McArdle. Sam Smith is with us today. Sam, welcome to the Morning Serve. First time we've seen you on the Morning Serve.
Thank you for having me.
How have you rated this Australian Open so far?
The tennis has been out of this world. It's out of this world. It really is something special.
All right, let's have a look at what is coming up on today's show. We've got keys to the semis. Badosa battles back. Paula Badosa, she is looking so good. Iga Swiatek's chances and Novak's injuries, a bit to talk about there. But Paula Badosa's win in the quarterfinals, since she's come back from those injury concerns, is that the best you've seen her?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. She was always destined. I don't know if you remember, or maybe it's a long time ago now, 10 years ago, she was one of the best juniors in the world, winning junior slams and touted as the next Maria Sharapova or the next Garbine Muguruza if you're looking in Spain. And it didn't quite happen, that transition. Yes, she got up to the top 10, she got to 2 in the world, but I feel she's a better tennis player now. And I think it's just she's more emotionally mature. Something certainly happened with the break she had out and coming back. And I'm really pleased to see it because she is a wonderful tennis player.
She's playing a good friend, Iga Sabalenka.
That's tough.
Well, that adds another dimension to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, Sabalenka's been pretty dominant in their head-to-head. I think she's won 5 of the 7, and she's won all the last ones that they've played. And yeah, that can get in the way. We were having a little poll this morning about it, chatting to John Millman, and he said it really would bother him if he was playing a mate. Actually, Alicia Monica and I were like, didn't really bother us. So I don't know. Some players can just go out there and put it to one side, and for others, it gets in the way. But I tell you what, we are going to have a very classy first semi-final, whichever one it is first.
Does she have the power game to go with Sabalenka?
Oh yeah, there's no problem with the power. It probably will be odd moments. Does she have the belief, the nous, to really take on some of those second serves and go for them? And will she be front foot in those small mini moments where she's got an opportunity? There won't be many chances to beat Sabalenka out there in the semi, but there will be some.
If she is to win a Grand Slam, whether it be here or somewhere else, Paula Badosa, is this the best surface for her?
It's a great surface for her. I mean, she won Indian Wells, which is one of the biggest tournaments outside the slams, but she's also a great clay court player as well. You'd have to ask her that question. I can't answer that for her, but tell you what, she's bloody good on a hard court.
What about Aryna Sabalenka? Have you changed your view, or have you seen anything to change your view throughout this tournament?
I've been very impressed with the way that she's been tested every time she's come through. If you remember, in her second round against another Spaniard, Bozos Monero, she was 5-2 down second set. Clara Towson in the third round, the Dane served for the first set at 5-3 and pushed her as hard as anyone, obviously, and then dropping a set in the fourth round, in the quarterfinals as well. And she's come every time she's been pushed, she has responded. Is she at her best yet? I think we've seen glimpses of it, but not from start to finish. We may get that in the semis.
Having had that set taken off her in the quarterfinals, is that a good thing as you head towards the pointy end of a tournament?
Yeah, I think it will help her. She's in great shape. She came in off a tournament win, the perfect preparation, winning in Brisbane, having a week here to practice and recover any little niggles that she picked up in Brisbane. Not that she had any potentially, or not that I heard of, but you get a little sore if you win a tournament. So ideal preparation, great pre-season. She's as ready as ever to make it a third final in a row.
It's funny when a player is so dominant, the microscope sort of trains in even more, doesn't it? You look for these little issues or weaknesses. She seemed to struggle with the breeze a little bit.
Yeah, no, certainly. It's got quite a high ball toss and a big game. I mean, the big game with not a lot of margins as well. And it was a lot more swirly down there than I think any of us in the commentary box realised. And for those I've never played on the Rod Laver Arena, but those that have said that swirl is so difficult, but it doesn't look like a lot. And so and it's going to be, I think, pretty breezy the next few days as well. She'll be out there in the afternoon, but she's had a taste of it. And it seems like whatever's in front of her, and she did have a wobble in that quarterfinal, she's able to come through it.
All right, we'll talk about this semi-final. If Paula Badosa is to win, what's the key to her winning this?
Got to serve really well. I think probably the bet she's going to hit maybe 65-70% first serves in, be really secure behind her second serve. For me, what she didn't do in the quarterfinal enough against Coco Gauff was, if there was a second serve to be hit, sometimes she just let it drop and then just get it back into play. If she gets those serves, I think she's got to go for it. She's got to be a little more of a gambler for me out in that semi-final to have a shot.
And for Sabalenka, what are the keys for her?
Sabalenka just has to be Sabalenka. That's the deal. It's like when Serena was here. Serena has to be Serena, Sabalenka has to be Sabalenka. They're the best. Her game, at her best, is good enough to beat anyone.
It kind of says about, it talks a lot about where she's got to in her career, doesn't it? That she is so out and out the best if she's playing her best.
Yeah, that's where she is.
All right, so our next semi-final, and Madison Keys appearing, Sam. She's in her third Australian Open semi-final. Is there something different about Madison Keys this time?
Everyone keeps saying that. Well, she's a lot older, a lot more mature, a lot more experienced than when she played her first semi-final as a teenager, when we all got to wake up to see how brilliant, you know, she was potentially going to be and see her as a future slam winner. It hasn't quite happened. She has made a final of the US Open. Let's not forget that. Maybe it's small things. She's very happy. She was recently married. Husband seems to be doing a brilliant job as a coach, and he was a very good former player himself. And I guess if you commit the rest of your life to someone, you really trust them. And she does trust him with her tennis as well. There's been a few little changes with the equipment and the strings, but maybe it's just Maddie's time that everything is coming together now. For me, she's playing the best tennis of her career.
Is there something different in her game? Is there something noticeable? Is there more power or more aggression?
She's always had loads of power. I think the racket, and she says this, has given her a little more control. It's the same game, but maybe not quite as many unforced errors. There's been a slight technical change on the serve, which she said towards the back end of last year was very uncomfortable, but we all think that it's made the serve even better, and it has been a great serve. When you serve and hit the ball as well as Madison Keys, you should be contending for every major, and it's good to see her back out there.
So 2017 was that US Open final that you talk about, and she has had success. You know, she's been in quarters and semis. Is this her time?
Who knows? I mean, it's a huge task in front of her. And in-form Iga Switek, who's been on a mission from day one here, has hardly dropped any games. But she has the game to beat anyone. It's about her holding her nerve, believing in herself, and she cannot get off to a slow start. The footwork's got to be there, you know, right from the beginning. She cannot, for me, afford to drop the opening set against Swiatek. For me, for her to win, she's got to get ahead early and stay ahead.
She's 29 now, Madison Keys. Would you agree that players seem to be playing some of their best tennis later in their career nowadays?
Look, it all depends. Look,
on the player?
It just depends on the player. I mean, Iga won a slam as a teenager. Is she a better player now? Yes. I think there's a lot more to keep them out there for longer, and I think they all realise it's about getting better as well. And also, the motivation is huge for Madison, because she was signed at 12 or 13 by Maria Sharapova's agent, one of the biggest agents in the world, as a future Grand Slam champion. She has not, I mean, she must have heard that so many often, oh, you haven't won a slam. You know, that is still the quest for her. And it's about improving and getting better, and to see if she can, you know, I mean, honestly, I think it would make everyone very happy to see Madison Keys win a slam, because she is one of the loveliest human beings you will ever meet.
If that's not enough to keep you hungry, like that promise of winning
it. It's still there.
Yeah.
She hasn't achieved or fulfilled what many thought, and who knows what she thinks, her potential.
What about Iga? She's just playing with a ruthlessness at the moment. There's, you know, even when she gets up in matches, there's just no let off on the gas.
Yeah, the intensity is, and we've talked about it many times in commentary, Steffi Graf-like. From the minute she walks on that court, from the first ball of the knock-up, that intensity level doesn't change. It reminds me of Monica Seles, Steffi Graf, or, you know, Sabalenka for me is a slightly different starter. She warms her way into it. Serena used to take a little while to get into it. Iga is a different customer entirely, and that puts a lot of players on the back foot. She's always looking to break early, and when she breaks early, she normally wins the set. You know, that's her stamp. You know, that's what she does, and I can tell you it's not easy. The energy it takes to do that, it's very special.
If you're Madison Keys' camp, and that is a consideration, that intensity with which Iga starts matches with, would you be saying to Madison, you have to be on from word go, because you're going to look up at the scoreboard and it's gone?
It will be, yeah. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, the start. I'd almost like to see Madison Keys come from the practice courts, still warm, still sweating, get straight out there, feet moving, get everything to activate Madison as much as possible. if she wins the toss, start serving and just get in there, get 2 or 3 service games under a belt and with holds, and get some scoreboard pressure on Swiatek, because no one's really been able to do that this tournament.
Success, when we talk about players not having had success here, it's all relative, I guess. But in terms of Iga Swiatek and her benchmark for success, I think we can say that she hasn't had her best tennis here. What tweaks has she made to her game to make sure that she is in contention and a better player at the Australian Open?
Well, it's about adapting this wonderful game to be better on a hard court. And, I mean, she's won the US Open, so she's obviously got the hang of it. We've noticed a few things. Maybe the forehand, the swing is fractionally shorter because the courts are quicker, and on days where it comes through a little lower, that's hard for her. Players have been able to rush her on that side. To me, her footwork looks sharper. And what also she's done, she's playing with a lot more width now. I mean, she's just opening up the court, and you just see players running into the space. There's been small adjustments on the serve. I mean, she is always looking to get better, and it's all these smaller things that are really helping it. And there's certainly I think there's a lot of the camp, the team seems very relaxed. And sometimes I feel she's come down here with huge expectations as the top player in the world and been quite uptight. And I'm not seeing that this year. And
maybe it helps not having that #1 ranking, which of course she'd be keen to get back. But
maybe just a mindset. She has a different coach, and he's very good at just keeping the temperature down and keeping everything smooth. No, all the mood music coming out of the Swiatek camp and from interviews is that she's very relaxed, feels things are smoother this year. I always used to feel like she fought this court, fought the Rod Laver. Not now. She's going with it.
All right, I'm going to ask you the same question. Keys to victory for these two. Maddie first up.
Who will win?
Yeah, no. Well, what's her key to winning? What's the thing that is absolutely a non-negotiable for Madison Keys?
She's got to serve well, and then her +1, which is her first shot behind her serve, get it onto the forehand, win her service games comfortably, and then there'll be some second serve to attack from Swiatek. It's about, there'll be some moments in there, like the Badosa Sabalenka. There'll be some moments, and does she take them? And
is it simply being at her best for Iga? Is that just what she has to do?
Iga will have to be at her best to beat Keys in this form, because this is not it's a matchup. She's won 4 of their last 5 meetings. I feel this will be a tougher one because the ball coming from the racket of Keys is hard, fast, low and heavy, and that's not a ball that really Iga likes. So there's a lot of work for Swiatek to do in this semi-final. We've got 2 goodies.
They're amazing matches, and as a result, the final will be an amazing final as well. Just before we let you go, a couple of thoughts on Novak Djokovic. That was remarkable, the way he beat Carlos Alcaraz. Does he need this adversity? Is there something about Novak now that he has to find adversity somewhere to be at his absolute best?
I think he's always been like that, actually, yeah. It's obviously I guess as you get to become an older player, you'd really know what makes you tick. I think there's partly that. I also do think that Andy Murray has found some little nuggets here and there to put into Novak's mind. And, you've got to think about it. I mean, Novak's one of the greatest sportsmen of all time, as well as being the greatest tennis player of all time. There's not many people that he can have that level of conversation with. And maybe it's just the chats over coffee with Andy as well. And Andy's very meticulous, going back on data and video analysis and having discussions at that level. It seems like he's really enjoying Andy. I mean, I'm obviously very biased as a Brit, but I think he's really enjoying having Andy take some pressure off him. But no, I mean, Novak knows how to get this done. When you first heard about that partnership, you might have been as shocked as everyone else was, but then when you thought about it, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Well, you know what Novak's done? He's always, Andrew Agassi, when he worked with him, said Novak is a seeker, and he always thinks of different ways of doing things. He's taken the game up so many levels, and he does things that others don't do or haven't thought about doing. And now, I mean, it was great for Andy to say yes, because he was rather enjoying himself playing lots of rounds of golf and spending time with the family. But this is a special assignment. How often do you get to coach the greatest of the greatest? So, but yeah, I was very surprised, but it sort of makes sense now, doesn't it? Yeah, and he might well be remembered as one of the guys who was an architect of Novak's resurgence, his second tennis life. Just quickly, also, the injury, he's in the middle of a 3-day break now until his next match.
How important is that 3-day break for Novak Djokovic?
It will certainly help me. He looked pretty cooked, didn't he? I don't think he could have gone 5 last night. I just didn't see that happening. I have to say, it's really concentrated. He's the same Novak, but he's just whacking the hell out of the ball. It's with the same control. It's because he can't, he can't have these ridiculous long rallies all the time. I think the 3-day break will help him enormously. He's so healthy. He's a very fast recover. Always has recovered very quickly. He has won so many majors badly injured, including here.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know. I mean, I'm not in his body, but I'd be very surprised if he wasn't in good shape for that semi.
There's no one who knows more about what it takes to win here at the Australian Open than Novak Djokovic. Great to have you on board once again, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And thanks for your company on the Morning Serve.
Wide World of Sports on YouTube is your home of the tennis this summer.
With highlights of the best matches of the summer of tennis, the on-court interviews and every day with the Morning Serve, you'll be ahead of the game.
So click that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing this summer.